Is efficiency, time efficiency, not just the time of delivery, but how much time am I going to spend on the site actually putting the order together. So again, reassure people, tell them, in less than, I love you don't have to know about bleeding. That's great stuff. In less than 30 seconds, you'll be able to put an order together. Respect people's need for time management. Afraid of wasting time.
All right, so we're having some audio difficulties with the online crowd. Sorry about the distraction there. But I'm curious, just for my own benefit, about you guys all as Infusionsoft users. What are your primary desires with regard to Infusionsoft?
I want to grow the business. I mean, at the beginning, that my biggest obstacle was efficiency in the business and reporting to my clients. So I have spent quite a bit of money on that part, and now I am very, very, very comfortable with it. And I'm doing things to bypass all the weaknesses that Infusionsoft has. But all this work of efficiency and all that stuff is just to get it to make more money. I mean, that's the bottom line. I just want to make more money. Not necessarily more sales, more money.
Let me ask you this: why do you want to make more money? I want to understand. And these are.
I was born in a refugee camp. There is no limit on how much money I want to make. I was born with nothing.
So these are the types of questions you guys should be asking your clients, right? When they say, "Hey, I want to grow, but why?" And then even beyond that, but why? So seriously though, why do you want to make more money?
I'm very serious. There is no limit of how much, because I want to live comfortable. I like luxury things. I like going sit in the Lakers box and enjoy it, and people serve me. I like people cut my grass. I like the people to polish my car. I like to get every 36 months my new BMW. So that feels good. Why not? If I can make it, why should I stop?
All right, great. What about you, Tom?
Well, we first started with Infusionsoft for automation and workflow, but ultimately more workflow so that we could service more clients and ultimately grow our business. So definitely there was a migration path there, but it started off with automation for sure.
Okay. To
ease our workflow and stuff we did manually all the time, over and over again. And realize how efficient that was with what we could accomplish in the platform.
Sure.
But ultimately it's to grow the business.
Why do you want to grow the business?
To help more people.
It's part of it.
That's Lorraine's side.
I want to help more people, and then I also want to contribute to the local economy by giving somebody a job to mow my lawn and buy cars. So it gives more people jobs so that they can work on the assembly line and all that stuff. It's part of growing the economy. You can't help charities. You can't send Bibles overseas. You can't vaccinate kids in third world countries without money.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool.
And then I'll refer to Nadal as well.
There you go.
It takes money to do things you want to do in life, and a lot of that being in service as well. Like brings that, and not just for us, but for others as well.
The people really need what we have to offer, and we can't supply it just ourselves, but Infusionsoft with its automation can supply it. We can route people differently.
We can deliver our message to so many more people, so much more efficiently. Well, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Is to serve the people that want, and this is for.
Yeah. Cool. Chris, what about you?
For what do I want?
So I'm hijacking this whole meeting for my own purposes.
Well, like primary desire used to be, like money, fame, fortune. You used to be all that, and the last few years it's transitioned to people have enough problems in life. Like life gives people enough problems as it is, and I want to help people have a better life. Practical administration of grace. To people, help people just enjoy what they want more, and then just to just glorify God with what I do and how I help people.
Awesome. So before you guys said all that, what I wrote down for primary desires is number 1, growth. Number 2, provide a better way. And I left it kind of vague like that because I believe that the people that I want to work with anyways want to do more service, help more people. And you joke about the greed side, Nadal, but the truth is you provide much better service than your competitors and you pride yourself in that. And so, your business is all about providing a better way. And quick turnaround and great service and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, for me, because I know that there are plenty of people out there that operate off of the fame and fortune and things. I don't want to work with them. I've worked with them in the past, and it doesn't excite me, and I don't connect with them in the same way. And so, people who want to grow, but want to grow for good reasons of providing a better way for their family because of the money they make, providing a better way for their clients, providing a better way because they made money and now they're free to go help in their community, whatever. Those are things that are important to me. And when I find that that my clients align that way, we tend to get along much, much better. So again, I was using that for my own benefit just to double check. But you guys should ask those same types of questions with your clients. Why? And even when you get the why, go another step. Well, why? Keep asking the whys and just really try and drill down into that. So, all right, let's move on here. So if you chose desire first, then the next thing is I want you to write down the primary fear that your people deal with. If you chose fear first, then I want you to write down the primary desire. Okay.
I turned the gain down on the mic a little bit. There's some dust on the back.
Oh, did you? Okay. I actually switched it over to the computer mic because everyone's complaining. Let's try it though. We'll switch it back and see if we get some better results there.
Just dial that in next time.
So yeah, that might be the case. So everybody who they're describing it as audio loop and feedback are different words that and yeah, so okay, well, we'll keep it off for now and figure it out for next time. So what that does mean, though, everybody, is that the online crowd has a harder time hearing the audience because this mic is, I think, a little more centralized and you guys are further away. So I'll just try and maybe repeat things you say here. So anyways, let's write down the primary counter, the opposite of the one you chose first, and get that down. Let me know when you've got them all. So if you missed all that while the audio is going wacky, what we're doing now is we're writing down the primary counter. So if you chose desire first, now I want you to write down the primary fear. If you chose fear first and wrote down 3 of those, I want you to write down the primary desire. And we're going to use those in the process here of developing our sequence of communication for talking to our audience once we capture them as leads. When we get someone in the door, they might opt into some free report, they might opt into some more information, but we've got the hefty job of converting them from interested prospect into a happy customer, and that takes some work. So defining these things is really important. Okay. So Tracy, I apologize. I know it's disappointing. It's disappointing for me too that we're having these issues. It should be fine now. So let me know. Daryl and Gary are commenting that it's all good for them now. Everybody else, if you let me know if you can hear clearly and everything's working fine, that'd be great. Okay, so Tom, what's your primary counter? I assume it's fear in this case.
The counter is desire.
Oh, okay, you're coming back with the desire. Okay, great.
A successful career for the kids when they get out of school. Little to no debt, so they're financially responsible, and then independence as well.
Okay.
Those are the 3 things that came from desire.
Okay, good. And Paul, what about you?
I go back to the notion of what a business is, and that's to create and to keep a customer. My fear is having a client relationship go sideways. I absolutely hate it when someone with whom I've had a relationship for years, that relationship goes sideways. That's my fear. My desire is the exact opposite of that, and that is to have a relationship with a client that goes forever. Yeah. And those 2 clearly offset one another, and they tie very well into how you're positioning this for people.
Yeah, cool. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Yeah.
Gail. Gail, what's your primary counter in this situation?
Well,
Remind us what your business is.
it's not my business.
Okay.
I'm here mostly because I'm an Infusionsoft person.
Right.
But the business is helping people find the correct senior care.
Oh.
And so we're in the business of helping people. And the fear is all the horror stories out there about healthcare workers now. Everyone's scared to death to go places because they're afraid that the healthcare is so poor.
Sure.
So we help navigate people through all the different options and stand by them and, know the facilities, know the good and bad places, and help people make the decisions.
Okay, great. And for those of you that are online, go ahead and post in the chat what your primary counter is. If it's fear-based, great, put that. If it's desire-based, put that in there, and we'll chat through those. Meanwhile, we'll move on to step 4 in this little worksheet here, which is to write out a statement for how you offer help with each of the items above. That should say help, not helps. So I gave an example. Weight Slashers helps you lose 30 pounds in 90 days guaranteed, right? So it's, you're kind of doing a bit of a value proposition type statement here, a bit of a benefit statement. But you can do it for each of the 3 primary things that you chose, and also for the counter. And the reason this is important is because we're basically starting to structure out here potential follow-up messages, right? So you've got one message about your primary desire, another message about the secondary desire, another message about the tertiary desire, and then another message about the primary fear. And this will help us start to structure out what those look like. And writing out this benefit statement could potentially lead into something like a subject line or a headline in the email and the copy that follows. What I've found is that most people really hesitate to write copy, but if you get them started on a headline or a subject line that makes sense to them, that they can connect with, they can often kind of fill in the blanks after that. And so that's what we're driving at here, is helping you figure out the right structure of your follow-up sequences, get you started with some topics, and then you'll be able to fill in the blanks. And then the last piece is getting the call to action right. We'll give you some direction on that as well. Okay, so take a minute and write out those statements there for you. Oh no, that is supposed to be helps, right? How your offer helps with each of the items above. See, so when you go back to my example here, in the top, my examples were lose weight, desire, feel confident, desire, fit into my dress, desire. So my additional statements would talk about how Weight Slashers helps you fit into your dress, how Weight Slashers helps you feel more confident, those types of things, and get into tying each of those into an individual statement. Anyone want to share those, what you've written so far? Nadal, go for it.
This manager, this is serious. This is what I'm thinking to start using.
Okay.
It says, we'd love to hear from our customers. Feel free to call our toll-free number, 800-819-3362, anytime. We promise to pick up the phone in the first ring and answer any questions you may have. Even if you are not ordering anything from us, we will still help you.
There you go. That's great. So for those of you that didn't hear that online, basically the core of his message was, we'd love to hear from our customers. Give us a call toll-free. We promise to pick up on the first ring. What was it after that? Even if you're not buying something from us, which is really cool. If you go to Zappos, most of you probably know, you can go to Zappos and take a tour. They do these tours so that you can kind of get to know their culture. They have really cool culture there. One of the stories that they tell there when you go on a tour or when you study Zappos is the story of someone who how did it go? The story of someone who, well, they do this regularly, I guess. You call in, you're trying to find a certain shoe. If they don't have it, they'll help you find it somewhere else, right? They'll find the closest retail store or another online place, whatever, where that shoe is sold, and they'll email you the link and, hey, here you go, you got it, whatever. And so Tony Shea, the CEO of Zappos, was actually at a party one night or something, and he was bragging about their ability to help customers. And the way they do this, they help them even if they're not buying from them. And I guess he's there at a party drinking with somebody else, and this guy, so kind of challenges them. Well, are they just gonna help me with like any random thing? He's like, yeah, I think they'll just help you with anything you call in about. So the guy says, let's give it a try. And he calls them right then on the spot and asks them if they can help him find a pizza. And it's late at night. It's after like midnight. And the person, the support person does it. Like, he goes online, finds a local pizza place that's open, gets the phone number, gives it to the person, and that's like exactly what you're driving at, right? Look, we're here to serve you. We're gonna help you get to the right thing, whether that's buying through us or not. Give us a call. We want to talk to you. I love it. So it's
got executive parking from then on.
Yeah. I don't know what their reward was, but it's cool. All right. So Jean is sharing here. She says, we hope you create a professional pitch for your TV show. No TV industry experience required. Cool. So yeah, if you've got a TV show idea and you want to get on TV, that's your desire, and they're going to help you do that. And they address one of the fears, right? Well, I've never done this before. No one knows me. I don't have any experience at this. And so she puts that in there as a supportive statement, which I think is cool, right?
But in the statement that I have, there's no fear.
That's okay. You don't always have to have fear, right? So we're kind of structuring this as we go here, where you're going to have some positive messages, some desire-based messages, and then you can follow that up with fear later in another message. That's all part of how we're going to structure the strategy. So we're kind of talking random individual conversion pieces here, but the whole thing's going to fit together in a strategy here in just a minute, and that's an important part of all this. Okay. Anyone else want to share? You guys are all talking about how you want to help people and everything, but you just don't want to share. That's okay. Okay, so once you've got these things, oh, you want to go for it? Yeah.
College funding helps your child be among the few who will graduate debt-free.
Cool. There you go. So what's interesting about that is you're appealing to a mentality of being debt-free, which is going to attract the people that you want, right? You're also appealing to something very aspirational, being able to graduate from college debt-free. And yeah, that's cool. I think I like that.
Yeah, he's also appealing to exclusivity with his one
Yes.
of the few.
One of the few. Yeah, exactly.
Exclusivity is very powerful.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Barbara says, number one desire is profitable business with good cash flow. So she says, 3LC teaches you the KPIs you need to be focusing on to have positive cash flow. So again, if you're addressing businesses who's really focused on that side of things, so it sounds like businesses that are already up and running. This isn't like biz ops people, right? This is people who are already up and running. They got an established business. They understand the term KPIs. They're gonna have to understand that first to be able to understand this. And that, in some situations, I would say, hey, don't use acronyms in your statements. In other situations, I would say, yes, use them, because you don't want the people who don't understand those acronyms. You want them to go away. You want them to say, I don't understand that. I'm gonna go somewhere else. But people who do know the word the acronym KPIs, that's a good thing for you. And then also, let's see, we're getting a bunch of responses online now, so I gotta filter through these. Where'd my mouse go? Still trying to figure out this whole like 2-screen thing. And then also this focus on having positive cash flow is another thing where, when people are starting out business, when they're in the early stages of business, oftentimes they're not thinking about cash flow. Right? They're thinking, I need new customers, I need more leads, I need more revenue, I just need more sales. And then they realize, wait, I'm making lots of money, but I'm not taking any of it home. I need to focus on cash flow, right? So there's an evolution there. And so Barbara, if that's who you're looking for, then I think your statement is solid. You're really, really good there. All right, Jocelyn says, AutoCrit will help you edit your manuscript so your book doesn't include amateur mistakes. Cool. So that's a fear-based one right there, right? Writers, in my experience, writers are very insecure. Not Paul. But fiction writers, right? No, fiction writers in particular, more so than direct response copywriters. They're very, very different. Direct response copywriters tend to be, in my experience, very confident. And fiction writers are often very insecure, don't want anyone to read their work. So many of you know Stephanie Fleming. She's a direct response copywriter, primary, senior copywriter at Infusionsoft for many years, worked for me. Well, she's a phenomenal fiction writer. And she and I, over the years, have been very, very close. And she's let me read 1.5 pages of one of her books. And after that, she would not let me read any more. No more. Couldn't read it. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, okay, I don't read a lot of fiction, but this 1.5 pages is like the most engaging 1.5 pages of fiction I've ever read. And I want to read more. Let me read it. It's sounding awesome. And she would not let me, right? And, if she wouldn't open that up to me, which we're pretty good friends, over the years, she's very, very insecure, but that's typical fiction writers in my experience. So Jocelyn, I think you're onto something good there. Doesn't include amateur mistakes is strong. Now we're not writing headlines yet. We're just kind of writing statements out, which is fine. We can make if we're using that as a headline, there are lots of things we could do to strengthen that up. All right, Brian, clean, dry firewood all season long. Great. We talked about yours last time. So that's the desire there. All right. Daryl wrote like a whole dissertation here on on desires. So I'm not sure we're going to get into that whole thing. But Daryl works with business owners. So his desires make money and be successful, grow their business, be of value to the world, refuse to be average, be more, leave a legacy. Great. Those are all great things. Brian, yeah, getting solid here now. Don't ever be disappointed with deliveries of damp, smoky wood again, right? So let's get a little more specific with some of the pains that his clients are dealing with. So cool. All right, so let's move on here. So now we got to start developing a storyline. We've thrown together some pieces, and what we all know is that sometimes you sit down and watch a movie or read a book, and it's just boring, right? And other times, you're engaged right away, and you're engaged throughout the whole process. So has anyone watched the show White Collar?
Yeah.
You've been watching it, or you watched it before? So I never even heard of it until just a couple weeks ago. My sister was like, you gotta see this show. It's on Netflix. And I'll tell you, I haven't slept in weeks because it's like I can't turn it off. You know? And I'm not a TV guy. Like I don't watch TV, but it's like it's super good, right? So so it's a great example though of just developing good storyline, and you stay hooked, right? And so we want to use that same tactic in our email follow-ups. We want to develop a story here, and so if you look at the notes here in the worksheet, every good story has the following elements. First starts off with some character identification and connection. What I mean by that is you need to be able to identify with what's being discussed immediately, right? And that's what we're doing with kind of headlines and things like that. We're trying to hook them and we're trying to get people to say, oh yeah, that's me. I get that.
Characters. I noticed most of the successful storylines, they have an interesting sidekick.
Yeah.
There's always one guy on the side. I mean, look at that show that you watch. There's always, forget the mainstream, the side ones are usually the interesting ones. Seinfeld has the interesting one on the side. Always is the ones that are not in the mainstream that gives it the flavor, that gives it the spice.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely. For our purposes here, we probably won't go into all kinds of like subplots and other characters and things like that. But we do want, first thing is we want people to be able to identify with what we're talking about and say, that's me. Whether it's through some character or telling a story of a client or a customer or telling our own story. We want them to identify with it and connect with it. Paul, go ahead.
So Tyler, I was so excited. My daughter graduated from college debt-free. I mailed out these fabulous invitations that I ordered online. Everyone showed up at my house. It was a nice cold winter night. I went to light the fire, and the firewood was damp and soggy and filled with smoke, and I was so embarrassed.
There we go. That's why Paul's a writer, right? So yeah, awesome. Tied together everyone's stuff, and we ended with the pain and the fear of the damp wood and being embarrassed, right? The embarrassment is a strong motivator in a lot of situations. So that was great. Perfect example. So just imagine, if you were one of Brian's customers and you open up an email that starts off with that kind of a story, right? You're hooked. All of a sudden you're like, I don't want to be embarrassed with wet firewood, at some party that I'm hosting.
yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm always reminded of, I keep forgetting that not everybody is opening every email in sequence. And I keep remembering that statistically maybe 20, maybe 30% tops are opening them. So how do you develop this storyline, realizing that very few people are opening up every single thing that you send to them?
So it's a great question. And they will open them if there's a story, right? Why do you watch the next episode of White Collar? Because you're hooked, right?
Yeah.
I can sit down and watch, an episode of, whatever, Dancing with the Stars with my wife, and I have absolutely no desire to watch the next episode. But she'll stay there and watch the next episode and watch the next season and whatever, right? So different people, different strokes, whatever. But yeah, we'll talk about some of that and then strategies to to lead people along
Yeah.
in just a moment here. But it's a great question.
I don't wonder if it's the same 20 or 30% that are opening it.
It might be.
Or it's just a random thing.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I'm
no,
just
there-
telling how one guy is doing it now, without mentioning his name. In his emails, the first line he does, he has hyperlinks of the previous emails. So he'll say, this is the Sears email of the 12, right? And he's on number 6. He'll have a link that shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the 6th. So you can always click to go back and see them, and he has them linked to a page on his website. And he's a guy who's good with PPC, you know, he's a very famous guy.
Yeah, it's good. That's a smart idea. Okay, so going back to kind of our basic story elements here, right? Character identification connection. People need to be able to go, whoa, that's me. You're talking to me, right? And then there's always a setback in the character's development, right? So the primary, like, or the perfect examples for all this is like Disney. Every Disney story is the same. You ever realize that, right? It's almost always an orphan of some type, or a parent dies, right? And then there's some major setback in what's going on, and then a huge crisis, and then they try and solve the problem and fail at it, and then a solution arrives, and there's a happy ending, right? And so you know, that's the kind of emotional thing we want to lead our customers through and get them engaged with, because they're going to identify with. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a character. It could be like, you know, like Paul was kind of telling his own fictional story. It can be your own story, whatever, but they've got to identify with it. And then if you think of it in terms of a story, if you talk about the setbacks and you talk about the major crises, you're basically hitting on the pain points, right? You're hitting on the fears, the desires, whatever. And then at the end of it all, when you provide your own solution to the problem, that's when people go, oh, wow, there's a solution. I need that. I want it. And the happy ending is, you know, they become clients of yours, et cetera. So there's a few ways to do this. You know, you can ignore all this and just think of like any Disney movie and just follow that. There's a few different ways that I've used or identified over the years. The gap strategy we'll start with, and I'm going to switch over to this little presentation here to walk through some of this here. So hopefully you guys online can see that, because all of a sudden when I put it into presentation mode, I can't see the chat box. So hopefully everything is okay. Gap strategy. So the way this works is this is a desire based strategy. So people have some big desire, they have some goal they want to get to. And the purpose behind the gap strategy is to create a feeling of there's no way I can get there. There's a huge gap between me and my goal, between where I'm at right now and what my goal is. And it's impossible to get there. And we actually want to make it feel even more impossible. Okay, so we'll walk through this. And if you were at ICON last year, you saw me give a presentation on this. So this example is you got a 55-year-old man. What he wants is comfortable retirement, right? He wants to get to that point where he has to own his own home, not have to work. And you know, he's not looking for the luxurious lifestyle. He's not wanting to be like Nadal. But he's just looking for like, hey, like I don't have to stress over this, and you know, I want money to take care of my family and whatever. So what we're going to do in the process of this is first help him understand how big the gap is, because he may just think, well, it's, you know, we never think we're as old as we are, right? And we think we've got time, and we tend to procrastinate these things, and I'll get to it one day. We need him to start feeling a sense of urgency now. If he doesn't feel urgency now, he's not going to act, no matter what we offer him, right? He's not going to do anything. Let's just say we want to sell him some real estate investments as his vehicle to get where he wants to go, right? So he's not going to buy real estate. It's a big investment. He's not going to do it unless he feels like right now, absolutely, it's urgent. I got to get on this, right? So we got to start building a story for him. So 55-year-old man, let's take a look at what comfortable retirement looks like for you. You know, you're making $60K a year times 30 years. You don't have 30 years left to work, but let's just say you were able to work for 30 years, 1.8 million, and you want to own, oh no, sorry. Let's just say you want to live off of 60K a year for 30 years after your retirement, and you want to own a $500,000 home. So add that all up, you need $2.3 million, right? That's the total net you need to be able to achieve your goal. Okay, great. So that's 2.3 million over there across the way. You've got 50K in savings. Good job. You've got 100K annual salary. And let's just say of that 100K, you save 50K for 10 years. Now you can't save 50K, right? Because you got taxes and you got expenses and everything else. But let's just say on a very optimistic front, you can save 50K of that for 10 years. So that gives you another 500K. And then you got $200,000 in your current home equity. And you've got $100,000 in your 401K. So we add all that up, and what do you have? 950K. Okay, so you have a gap of 1.35 million. Okay, so now we're making it feel like, geez, man, that's far away. I'm 65, I can retire in 10 years, but I got to somehow come up with $1.35 million. How the heck am I going to do that? And then now we want to actually make him feel worse. We're going to dead end all of the strategies that he's thinking of as options to solve that gap problem. So you say, hey, look, you can invest in the stock market. Really bad idea. You saw what happened in 2007, 8, 9. It's just totally unreliable. You can't predict it. We got a big bubble going on again right now. A few years, it's just all going to be gone. So you don't want to trust stock market. Retirement accounts. And you go into all the reasons why a retirement account isn't the great idea. Well, you've already got 100K in your 401K. You've been working on that for 30 years. How well has that gone? Well, it hasn't gotten you where you want to go. So, investing in retirement accounts not a good idea. Bonds, growth is too slow, blah, 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 all the problems with bonds. You can start your own business, but, come on, you're 55. I mean, you're kind of getting up there. And if you haven't done it by now, you may not be very good at it. I mean, you're going to make them feel really bad. It's too late, Mr. 55-year-old man. You're really in some deep doo-doo here. We've got a solution. So we want him to feel like he's host. And then we get into our solution. So sorry, I went to the next slide too early. Oh yeah, now I got to click through all these. Sorry, just skip that. So that's the strategy. That's the mountain man strategy, or sorry, the gap strategy. The gap strategy is going to work best when we can have that story be told either all at once or in rapid succession. If you're doing an email a week, you're not gonna be able to build that feeling of urgency and I need to do something about this right away. You can do it, but it's not gonna work as effectively. So a video presentation, a webinar, a blog post maybe even where you go through that whole type of thing can work. An email series may not be the best vehicle to deliver that kind of gap strategy. Okay, so mountain man strategy is what's next, and in my experience, mountain man strategy does work very well for email. I have a whole video online for this that I created years and years ago. It's kind of corny, and I'm not going to play it for you here, but we'll talk through it. So basically, we're going to use mountain man strategy to create the need over time through emails, and it also is a great framework for connecting email to email, Tom. So if you can get people on one email, but you're not sure they're going to read all the rest, mountain man strategies is a great way to do that. So the idea is, imagine that you're a mountain guide and you need to help people get up a mountain, but you can't be there with them. So you got to go blaze the trail and you've got to leave signs for them to make it up the mountain, right? And so that's going to start usually, if you ever gone on a hike, usually there's like a trailhead sign that shows the trail, shows, hey, there's rattlesnakes here and there's blah, 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 keep out for these dangers, kind of an overview of the whole thing, right? And then there'll be some specific instructions about where to start and where to head and things like that. Now, you get down the trail a ways and there's an obstacle, right? There's, say there's a big river and the trail continues on the other side and the bridge is broken. And you need to help people get across it. So you can put up a sign there directing people on what to do. So first thing is like, warning, dangerous river, rapid flowing water, you will drown. And then bullet points about how to overcome that obstacle. Head down river, 100 meters south, find the fallen over log, cross it, etc. P.S. Once you're across the river, look out for XYZ so you can get on the trailhead again and find your way, right? So think of that in terms of the framework for an email, right? So call out a big, scary, sales objection or fear, right? Explain how you overcome it, and then lead to the next thing. So P.S. In my next email, I'll share some tips on blah, 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 blah. And so you're baiting them with oh yeah, that's something I'm really interested in finding out about. And so they know now it's a series. They'll be looking for and anticipating that next email. So that's kind of the basic idea. If you go find that email, you get a lot more specifics on the example I used in that video is a landscaper. And so people in the services industries are often very hesitant to share their secrets and share their information because they're like, if I tell them how to do it, then they'll just do it themselves. They'll never hire me. The truth of the matter is no one wants to do it themselves. They might be a cheapskate right now, but eventually, after mowing the lawn for the 100th time, they're going to say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm going to hire somebody. And who are they going to go to? The one who taught them how to do it right. The one who built the relationship with them. So the landscaping example is like, there's a tip on, how to keep your shrubs green. There's a tip on, I wrote it when we were in Arizona actually. So it was like keeping a lawn green in Arizona is near impossible. So like some stuff on that, and then how to trim your shrubs and, various different things. So basically you're helping the guy who wants to do it himself be a great landscaper. Meanwhile, you're building authority for yourself and trust and a relationship there. And also you're playing on the law of reciprocity, right? You're giving a ton, and hopefully when the time comes when it's right for that person to go hire someone, they come back and say, hey, look, this guy taught me everything, definitely is an authority because I did the stuff he said and it worked, and so I'm gonna go hire him. Nadal.
Would you put in mechanics, and I've been thinking about this one for a long time, because my sales cycle is very short.
Okay.
So when somebody wants something, they want it pretty quickly. Would you put in the email a mechanics where if you have a 10 email series that you get accelerated instead of having to wait 2-3 days to get the next email, say, you want to read the next email, click here, and then it just delivers it within a few minutes? Would you do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. You were probably here when we talked about self-accelerated campaigns, right? So you allow people to jump forward if they want. Yeah, particularly if your sales cycle is short, I would definitely do that. In situations where the sales cycle we know is a lot longer, I wouldn't always do that. You want to have that relationship build over time and allow them time to think or pull the money together or get other decision makers on board or whatever it may be that.
So would you do it in my business?
I would in your business. Yeah. Yeah, I would make it self-accelerated. And particularly, I mean, these people, they're not even going to come to you unless they've got something right now, right? Yeah. So when they come, we know they're like pretty much in buying mode. And if you get them hooked on one email and they're like, oh, that next topic sounds awesome, and they click on it and they can get it right now, then yeah, they're just going to keep going through those emails, and eventually they're going to call you up.
Like the one I have, the 7 goof-offs, printing goof-offs, the people want them.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, I'd let people accelerate that.
Hey, Tom, I have a quick question on gap strategy. We could essentially try to use that for some time and limited success. There is this reality, there's a big gap between where families are and where they need to be. And what we try to emphasize the facts by sharing stats, good old statistics. 1 out of 3 succeed. 1 out of 2 succeed in this. It seems like families, maybe this is human nature, they tend to think they're not going to become a statistic. Even if the odds are highly against them, we'll be the 1 out of 10. We'll be the 1 out of 3. Is there a clever way, maybe from a copywriting standpoint, where you make them realize that statistically you're going to be a statistic? we haven't accomplished that. As goofy as it sounds, people inherently think they'll be the exception. And then they're not. They're another statistic 5 years down the road.
It's a great question, Paul. What do you think?
2 thoughts. Number 1, it's really, really hard to use numbers. Most of us just don't understand numbers. Percentages, fractions, shares, very, very risky things to communicate. That's why people would rather go for free shipping on an offer than 95% off because they don't understand 95% off. Next thing that we could do with the gap strategy is ask the person, what happens if you don't do this? Get the person visualizing a scenario where they do not take some kind of action to close this gap. You've created the gap for them. They see it. they're starting to think about taking action. They may be hesitant. So help them create a very vivid, very scary, and very motivating picture of the consequences of inaction. Next, what you might want to do, Tom, is essentially call the person out and very respectfully say, hey, you might not think that this is going to happen to you, but it is. Look what happened to Susie Davis in Compton, California. She didn't X, Y, and Z, and as a result of this, she is dead in the water. So those are some things you might want to try and do. Really be cautious using numbers.
Yeah,
it's hard for us to do since we're kind of engineering brains. You know, we assume everybody gets these numbers, and it's probably a statement to the horrible education.
I just told you a really startling statistic. You did not understand it because you went through a horrible school. This is why you need us. No, I was thinking the exact same thing though. You know, numbers don't sell, even if they do understand the numbers. Right? It's the emotions that are going to sell people. So you have to get people emotionally connected to the numbers if you're going to use them. So if you use a stat, I'd agree with Paul 100%. Like if you say, hey, look, only 1 out of 10 families actually, achieve this on their own. I was thinking the exact same thing. Call them out. Like you may be thinking that you're not one of those. Use a story. But then, like, the key is they got to get emotionally attached to the numbers and what they mean for them. And you have your CRR checklist, right? And all the things that you have them go through before they come in to see you. I would identify, hey, you may not think you're one of these, but I see, unfortunately, on your questionnaire here, this and this and this and this and this, and that makes me think a lot like, Susie from Orange County or whatever Paul said, and she was actually in a better situation than you and still failed, that kind of thing.
I like that you identified the person.
Actually, Paul said, we're spot on. The problem you're having, it's a real fundamental problem, is just getting them to agree with the problem is.
Yeah.
And the problem. You have to say this in their words, and they have to agree and say, yes, that is a problem. The problem that they have is they don't have a plan that will get them to where they're, so you do Tyler's Gap, and the problem is what's your plan to get there? And then you hold them, so the problem is you don't have a plan to get there. And that once you have that fundamental agreement, then it's like, then they'll just cross on the way.
Yeah. See, I'm a perfect example for your customer because I have 4 kids. The 3 are triplets, so they're gonna go to college at the same time, right? So I know I have a tsunami coming in, and I'm just like, I don't want to think about it now. I already know how to deal with it now. So what I would say, it's almost like the Infusionsoft syndrome. It's like, you go in, it's like, okay, where do I start? I got all these things that I have to do, and then you end up with paralysis. You don't know which way to start. You end up doing nothing. So if I was in your shoes, what I would do is I would make a very simple skeleton where to get them to do basic, like 10 steps for free, just the basic 10 steps. Where let's calculate this person and this person and this person and this person, assuming they're gonna do 4-year college, calculate one thing, and then you move them on to the next one, say, okay, we're gonna take the first child, right? And then get them to do something that's simple. So let's take an example of Infusionsoft. You tell them, the only thing we're gonna do is 3 emails, one for Christmas, one for Valentine's Day, and one is for Happy New Year. And it becomes simple 3 emails. And then the next one you say, let's make the headline better, right? And then the next one, let's add some delay in them. Because when we start, I mean, I got into it, and I'm an engineer, I'm a software guy, and I ended up like, okay, so which one do I go? I made a to-do list in Excel with 4 sheets. Yeah, but when you simplify it, and Tyler taught me something that's very simple. Well, we were having a discussion, And he said, yeah, it's nice to have, but let's get back to the basics. Yeah, I mean, after 2 hours, he kept kind of getting me to get focused and focused and focused, which is basically one thing, get something done.
Right.
It's better than a mega plan and nothing gets executed. Oh, yeah. So I would say in your business to get them closer as user, which is good to get them to agree with you.
Yeah.
It's one step, 4 things, just like 4 bullets, 5 bullets.
Yeah.
Next one, you send in another thing, and then you sit down, you review something, you did these things. Yeah, now you got to improving your chances. That's what I would do.
You know, it's funny, we tried a quiz, for some time, have them do a 1-minute quiz, and we sent them a grade to show them kind of where they are at this point. Initially, the way I graded it at first, everybody got D's and F's, not by my desire, but it just showed them how bad it was. So we got rid of the F. So the worst they get now is a D, and we really spread out what a C is and a B. But even that, nobody can say some B's, maybe 1 out of 100. But even when people get C's and D's, they still don't follow up on how we can help them. It's so peculiar. You show them how bad shape they're really in.
Have you considered grading on the curve?
That's kind of what we're doing now.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, you can pass to like a 40.
Sorry, Tyler, we hijacked your meeting.
No, it's great discussion. So when we talk through these different strategies, do any of you identify and say, oh yeah, the mountain man strategy feels like a great one for me, or you look at it and you say, the gap strategy I think is definitely something that would work for my audience. Are those connecting, you guys? That make sense? Yeah. Okay, good. And for those of you online, let us know if that's connecting for you as well. Actually, I'm concerned that you can't hear us very well. I plugged in a new mic, and mic number 3 here. Let's see if this one causes some problems. But I'm going to actually turn this one up a little bit because it looks like it's not registering very strong. I thought we had the system wired, Tom. We've been doing so good like the last few months.
And it might be webinar jam thing, possibly with audio. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe a little of that dancing with the horse.
Yeah, I don't know. The snowball doesn't seem to be picking up quite as strong. Check that. Maybe that's a little better. All right. Well, they'll let me know on the group here if it's not working. Okay. So next, where are we here? Is like the you win strategy, and this strategy really only works for like commodity sale type of things, right? So the you win strategy is when you got lots of traffic, no need to filter good from bad, or when you have like limited staff, you need to focus on the best leads first or whatever. So basically, this is so the example I give here is basically doing a quiz, or in this case, do you qualify? So this particular company is a company that does immigration law, and they help people get legal in the United States. And apparently, there's a whole bunch of programs, and it's kind of complex. So people don't know if they qualify, and also they're scared to find out because they feel like if they go and start asking questions, then someone's going to know that they're not here legally and whatever. And so, anyways, they've got this "Do you qualify?" questionnaire, and we actually recreated it in Spanish as well. But it takes them through a questionnaire, asking a bunch of questions. Do you qualify for legal status? Are you this, that, and the other? A bunch of different things. And then by the end of it, I can't remember, it's like 50-something questions. And by the end of it, it sends them a customized email. And there's 9 different programs, and it tells them for each program whether they qualify or they don't qualify. And so, you can see the top one there, special immigrant juvenile is the name of one of the programs. You likely do not qualify for this program. At the very top of the email, you can see, congratulations, based on your responses, you qualify. But then it goes through each one. So you can see down here, the DACA program, you don't qualify for that one. UV say you don't qualify for that one. I think I've got one there where they actually do qualify. What's going on here? It's not moving forward. So I don't know if my computer froze or my screen froze. I don't know, all kinds of difficulties today, aren't we? But either way, oh, I guess that's just the last slide. Awesome. Either way, they're going to get an email that says you don't qualify, and then it'll explain each of the programs and why they don't qualify. Or it'll say, hey, you do qualify, and then it'll explain each of the programs, and on one of them, or at least one of them, it'll show that they qualify. And when they do qualify, it has phone number and link, and hey, click here to contact us, and we can help you through the process. So when you go through a process like this, you get and if you get the email that says you qualify, I win. Like I just hit the jackpot. I just got something awesome. And so you can use this in different types of different types of scenarios, right? Where the other side of this, and I'm sorry, I was getting myself confused with another one, which is I think I've called it "You Win" as well. That's why I got myself confused. I need to separate the names. But the other "You Win" strategy is commodity sales, where it's just an offer, right? There are a lot of things where you don't have to go into all this crazy marketing stuff. They just want the best price. So you give them half off, boom, you get people to buy. And so you feel like you won too. You just got, my wife collects coupons, not like grocery store coupon cutting, but like all the stuff that comes in the mail. She opens up her wallet and it's just stacked with all these like gift cards and coupons and things like that. Anytime we go to the store anywhere, she'll be like, I'll be about to pay. And she'll be like, hold on. She's just pulling out all this stuff and saves us like $100. I'm like, wow, cool. That's awesome. But she feels like she hits a jackpot every time she gets one of these things in the mail, Yeah. And so that's a "You Win" strategy. This one's a little different, where you're actually creating a scenario where they're trying to get something, and all of a sudden you tell them, hey, you've got it. Or, for you guys, you could build up some kind of questionnaire, asking them all about their kids' academics, about their finances, whatnot. And then boom, by the end, hey, you qualify for XYZ. It happens to be a CRR. You're going to pay us $100 for it. But, setting them up with those types of things, is great for helping them get to the point where it's like, oh, wow, like I qualify it. And then, they may have sat on this for years. And as soon as they realize that they qualify, they might start taking action. So you convert that interested prospect into a buyer. Okay. So a question came up. What tool did you use for that survey? We custom built it. So it's an Infusionsoft web form with radio buttons. But then on the back end, we use JavaScript to show some of the radio buttons at a time. Basically one question at a time. It's all one form, and it gets submitted at the end. But the JavaScript allows them to just see a part of the form at a time. And then it's all on the back end. It's one massive decision node with if they have this selection, then it goes here, and if they have this selection, it goes here, and sorts the whole thing out and then sends the appropriate email based on. Actually, Daryl, so you'll get a kick out of this. There's one custom field for each of those programs. There's 2 responses for each program. Yes, you qualify. No, you don't qualify. So there's 9 programs. So 9 custom fields. Depending on whether they qualify or not for each program, that's a decision node in and of itself. And then if it's yes, then it goes and runs an action set that populates that paragraph of information into the custom field. If it's no, it populates the opposite paragraph into that custom field. So this email that gets sent at the end is just a very simple email template with 9 custom fields being merged in based on
the text, the custom field.
Yeah.
That's slick.
Yeah, the text of the custom field.
Line.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the way we built that. So today we weren't going to get into too much Infusionsoft stuff per se, but that's a little trick you learned.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's kind of fun. We've done things like that at Infusionsoft before, and we built full back end systems. And I was working with this client. It was actually not a client that I chose. It was at one of the Infusionsoft implementation accelerator programs. They assigned this guy to me, and he wanted to do this survey, and I was like, oh, geez, we don't have time to custom code this whole thing. And then all of a sudden just hit me, custom fields, and we could just merge all those in. So, hey, let me just check with the audience here, make sure you guys can hear okay, because I did switch over the mic, and I want to make sure everything's okay. No, Daryl, the rest aren't blank. Every custom field, all 9 of them get a value. They get a paragraph populated into the custom field. It's just that it's either going to be a yes, you qualify paragraph or a no, you don't qualify, depending on the options they choose in the web form. So they all merge something. Okay. So let's see, where are we? Okay, so that's the win strategy. And then the last one we wanted to talk about is the membership strategy, which is really what this one comes down to is a curiosity strategy. And you're going to want to combine it with one of these other strategies, because you got to have the continual follow-up to stay in touch with them, to continue driving them into the membership site. But the idea is that you create a membership site, and within that membership site, you have various different options, some that they have access to, or let's just say various different pieces of content or tools or whatever. Some they have access to and some they don't. And the ones that they do have access to, they get access to for free. So they opt in for a free report, and then you say, hey, look, we've got all these other things for you. Log into the membership site. And when they log in, they can see other things, they just can't access them. And then there's usually a link to, hey, go check this out. And so the more you drive them into that membership site, and the more they recognize I've got stuff available to me that I can't quite get to, the more they're gonna, you're getting that desire in front of them on a regular basis, and that's interesting. So let me actually see if I can pull up ours and log in with a username that doesn't have all the access. So all you guys are members, so you have access to the Box Out Marketing site here. Let me log out because I'm logged in as an admin right now. So you guys, most of you anyway, should have access to everything. But if you're just an opt-in, or before you bought into the Double Your Sales Club, you would have had access to some things and not others. So I'll show you what that looks like. Oh wait, sorry, I just logged into the same login that I was in, the admin one. We're in the process of switching this over to another server, so it'll be a little faster. It drives me nuts. Everything's too slow. But it's been a pain in the neck. We're switching it over to Amazon EC2, if you're familiar with that. And it's like the security on this thing. So our developer Ramin, I set him up a sub account under mine. He went and set up the web server. And then I log in and try and see it, and I can see in my billing that I'm getting paid for it, but I can't see the actual account. I can't get into it. I can't access it or anything. We had to go through this crazy security process to give me access to something I was paying for. Okay, so what is going on here?
And speed?
Well, we're still just setting up staging on it, So yeah, it does seem to be a little faster. Yeah, for sure. But the thing is that will make a difference is. I think the way we're trying to set it up is across their CDN, so that anyone around the world can get it quickly. Like right now, if people go to Box Out Marketing, they're in Australia, it really lags. It's slow for us, but it's really slow for them. Where through Amazon, across all their servers all over the world, it'll be faster. So in here we've got courses, books, tools, events. So you can see these courses I have access to, and then here I don't. And if I click on this one, it's going to take me to an order form, essentially. It should go to a sales page, right? Really, it should go to a full sales letter and compelling stuff there. It was running to a promotional page before, and we shut that down. And we really don't want people signing up for the club, except for at certain launch points when we're running it, and so we're kind of purposely doing that. But Entrepreneur's Freedom Formula, that one's just hey, not currently available for sale. Too bad for you. So then, but you get the idea, right? There's some things that we're baiting people along with. The tools, in particular, some of these, this account has access to all of them. But if you log into a free account, some of these are sign up for $1, sign up for $5 a month, and they're really low cost. And the idea is those are tripwire events, right? Where you get them in and they buy one little tiny thing for a low cost, and then they're using that, and they see more, and they're like, hey, for $1, that was pretty cool. I'll try this one that's $5 a month. Wow, that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll just eventually upgrade and become a full member and get access to all these tools.
Have you seen that it actually happened in your case?
Yeah, we've had a few. Again, we're not really driving on this really hard right now. Because the membership I don't have structured yet, where I want to open it up to month to month. We're having people pay a whole year. And then they get year's access to it, and they just get everything. And so we're not really driving on that. Who does this well is Digital Marketer, Ryan Dice's stuff. They have a membership site, the same type of model where you get in, you have access to what you just opted into or what you purchased, but you can see everything else. And then each one of those goes out to like a, basically an opt-in tripwire into the full thing, So, yeah,
The graphics is nice.
It's a great.
I like the graphics. I like it a lot.
Yeah, thanks. That's Ramin's doing. He's not a graphic designer, but he helped me out in the situation. But yeah, you get the idea, right? So if you can have some content or tools or something in a membership site that people are continually coming back to use, and they can see that they don't have access to other things, then that's just great, conversion strategy. You get that stuff in front of them all the time. And then of course you follow up with emails about that stuff as well. Hey, you may have noticed in the membership site, there's this thing, you don't have access to it. Here's an offer or whatever. Continue following up. It's a great way to keep people engaged. So these tools, we give people free access to our double your sales plan, weekly metrics, funnel visualizer, and tag by date report. But all the other ones are paid. So they come in, they start using these, and we want them to be using. Oh, they also get access to the ROI tracker, right? Mm-hmm. So we want people using ROI tracker. We want people using the tag by date report for free, and playing with those and being on a regular basis using those tools. And then eventually they start poking around. Hey, what's this quick order form? What's this set date tool? What are these things? And I want access to all of them and things like that. So.
Older forms, one strategy that I'm changing today, actually is changing. We noticed we have a lot of abandoned cart for the shopping cart that we have.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing different today is I had a guy taking an order form, except when we do the button buy now, it actually takes them to a form. It looks like an order form, but I don't want them to put their credit card info because that the calculation problems that we have with the Infusionsoft card. So it's a hybrid where it's pulling from the Infusionsoft shopping cart the item, the description, and the icon, and at the bottom portion, it's just a regular form.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna test it today. Hopefully that makes it easier for people to place an order, kind of like one step. Just put the information. No credit card, no shipping calculations, nothing, and then we'll have to call them and do it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I've done that a lot too with my order forms, where almost always before I send people to an order form, I'll send them to kind of sales letter page, right? And then sales letter page, when they hit like add to cart or order now or whatever, do like a little pop-up web form, just name an email, and then take them to the order form. Reason being, two reasons. One is to track and trigger. Track abandons, shopping cart abandons, and trigger follow-up for it, but also to make sure it captures lead source. The dang order forms don't capture lead source, and I need to capture lead source, particularly for advertising. If you're doing pay-per-click or whatever, you gotta capture that.
PPC,
and so popping a little web form first, make sure that hey, I got someone that's interested. They'll basically go into the cart, so if they don't buy, their shopping cart abandoned, I can trigger the sequence. And then also you get the lead source correct on those people. So that's a good way to do it, Nadal. Cool. So membership strategy can be very, very powerful. We are currently in the process of, like I said, switching over hosts. We're also switching over the whole platform as well. We're going to switch over to Memberium from iMember 360. And we're going to redo the whole site. I really don't like the way this is laid out here. You guys as members probably are confused as well, and where content is and how to get to different things. And so we're fixing all that. We're in the process of it right now. But yeah, membership sites can be very effective. Key is make sure you got stuff in there that they're going to continue to come back to, and make sure you're using email to drive people back to those things as well. But as long as you do those things, the membership site can be very effective in not just selling them more stuff, which is kind of what we talked about here, putting more things in front of them that they don't have access to, but even just selling them the first time. If you just do opt-in to some free content in there, as long as that content is stuff that is valuable and they keep coming back to you, again, you're keeping your name in front of them, you're keeping them engaged, and you can control their experience, right? You can control the experience in 100%. Inside the membership site, which is different than email, right? Email, you've got, other distractions and things like that. It's different than direct mail. It's different than anything else because you've got them in your own little domain. And so you can put pop-ups, you can have little teasers, you can have all kinds of things to try and get people to that next stage. But whatever you're offering in the membership site, the key is that they have to be continually coming back to it. If they're not, then the membership site is just a delivery platform. It's just, hey, log in to get your free report. Once they got it, they're gone. So it's got to be something that they continually come back to, and that strategy can work really, really well. Even more so, I think, than just email alone. It can help build the credibility, the authority, all those types of things that people need to justify the sale in their mind, because they're in your business already, right? And the more time they spend in there, the more likely they are going to buy. So that's another great strategy. So there's four solid strategies that you can be using. So the key is to be able to take the fear and desire information that we worked on earlier and work them into those strategies. And we have another tool that we've been meaning to build this into the membership site for a long time. It's very complex. We just haven't had the time. So I'll give you guys access to just the spreadsheet of it. But if you've been through our messaging exercises, then you know that we talk about the 6 primary human motivators. And so we call this the motivation matrix. So those motivators are certainty, variety, significance, connection, love, contribution, and growth. And if you think about any decision that we make, it's going to be hinged upon one of those things at least. And any buying decision is going to be made to satisfy one of those motivators. And so what we've done is we've taken each of those and we've done a bunch of research to determine appeals, things that people avoid, nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives for each of those that you can be using in your marketing messaging that will help people respond when they're primarily motivated by that thing. So certainty, let's talk through it. If my primary desire is I want to make certain that my kid gets a good career, then you can talk all about, for the appeals, not all of these are going to work, right? There's all kinds of stuff, but assurance, certitude, being committed, confidence, protection. I want to protect my kids, reliability, safety, satisfaction. You can see how a lot of these would align well with what you're looking for. And then on the other side, the avoidances. You don't want to be leaving this to chance. You don't want chaos. You can get rid of confusion. There's danger out in the world. You use all these different things. And then there's a whole list of words. And then what we've done as well is we have taken a whole bunch of proven headlines from various different sources, and we've broken these out by, there's a column now for each of these: certainty, growth, variety, etc. And what you do here is you come and you fill out this little setup section. So category is college planning. Category plural, I don't know if it even makes sense in yours, right? So let's put college planning again. Product name, college planning elite. Primary benefit, get out of college debt free.
Man, you're good at it.
Yeah, etc. So you can see what happens. It starts in the bolded ones down here. So there's like the template, how to safely blank, and then it starts filling in the blanks for you. Right? How to safely get out of college debt free.
Wow.
Right. And so we've got tons and tons of these things in each of the categories. And so you can play with this tool to give you ideas for headlines. But more importantly, these are not random headlines. These are going to be aligned with your primary motivations, with the desires, with the fears that are going to work well for your audiences. Again, we want to develop this into a tool that's in the membership site. Right now, it's just a spreadsheet. We'll get there eventually. But
so if I want to, a lot of people like me, I'm busy with a million things at work. If I want to develop all what we talked about today, can I come in like to your session in San Diego or the one in La Jolla, and somebody can actually sit down with me and work throughout the whole thing, and I'll come out of there and it's done? I mean, I'll be, because I have to provide obviously an input.
Yeah.
When is your session in San Diego?
Yeah, good question, Nadal. I'm glad you brought it up, because not everyone has registered, including yourself. But yeah, the session in La Jolla, and the one in London and the one in Brisbane. What we're doing is we're launching 3 campaigns, right? And so If you want to come in and specifically work on one thing, you might be a little disappointed because we're going to move quickly and we're going to launch a campaign and then we're going to go work on another one and then launch it and then work on another one and launch it. And they're preset campaigns that everyone needs. So one is a conversion campaign, similar to what we're talking about here. One's a referral campaign, okay? And so everyone needs these types of campaigns. And we're going to work on those, and we have the ability now to import campaigns directly into your account, right? So before you even show up, we'll import them into everyone's account who's registered, and then we're going to go through this type of stuff because the key is not the campaign or the setup or whatever, and that's why I'm loving the fact that we can import these campaigns. We don't have to waste time on building, right?
Yeah.
The key is getting the messaging right and getting the conversion strategy right and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're going to be spending the majority of the time. So it's 2 days, 3 campaigns. So you're getting this 5 hours each campaign or so. And yes, you're not going to get dedicated like one-on-one help, but there's going to be me and a few other ICCs. Paul's considering potentially coming down to our San Diego one, which he did last time, and it was a great benefit. And we'll be roaming the room, helping everybody. Right now in the La Jolla one, I think we've got about 7 or 8 people registered, 7 or 8 companies registered. So pretty tidy group. If you want to get some good attention, I expect we'll get another 3 or 4 or 5 to register. It's only 2 weeks away, so we shouldn't get a whole lot more. But that's kind of the intention too with these events, is to make them small and intimate, and people can get help. We can automate the campaign building now, but I don't want to try and automate the messaging. It doesn't work. We gotta be able to spend the right appropriate time on that, and the right focus on it. So that's the way we're gonna approach it. So if you want to just focus on conversion stuff for 2 days, you might be disappointed because we're gonna move on and work on the referral strategy, and then we're gonna move on and work on another one. So makes sense.
Thank you.
Now, if you wanted to just use it as an excuse to ditch the kids and spend 2 days in La Jolla and
London, yeah,
and work
Australia,
on
surfing, yeah, I'm biking.
I mean, could you sit in the room and just every time we move on to another campaign, you stay on one campaign and we continue to provide help and support? Sure, I don't have any problem with that. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah,
but
attention deficit disorder.
Is that after Icon, your session?
That one's before Icon.
Oh, before Icon.
Yep, it's before Icon. It's the 27th and 28th.
That's next week.
Yeah.
Next week. Oh.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 27th and 28th. Then the one in London is the 10th and 11th of April, and then Brisbane.
And you said food is included, right?
Food's included. Yeah. Yeah. Free food. Pretty sure it's food that'll make you wealthy and all those types of things as well.
My next card, the I8.
All right. So question came up again. Where do we get this tool? I'll email it out to everyone who's on the Delaware Sales Club membership list. So you guys should all get that. So I'll email those out today. Again, we're working on revamping the membership site and building these additional tools and that kind of stuff. So we'll get there. But meanwhile, you can all have this spreadsheet, which works great. So what I do, I'll tell you kind of my process when I want to play with this, is I'll come in, I'll just fill in the blanks all here, and then I go and just look at all the headlines that work in the column that I'm looking for. So growth, is where I might start for my clients. I'll look at all these and I'll highlight a few that I really like, that seem to really hit the right points. And then I'll come back over here to the right tab, and I'll just peruse through the words and see what other words could I be using in these headlines. How could I mix them up in the headlines to make them even stronger? And so that's kind of my process. And then just pull out a headline and use it as a subject line. Use it on a sales page. Use it as an opt-in page. Wherever you're trying to make some improvements, and that tends to work well. What I'll do here is open up one of the emails that I sent this morning, actually. So to see where that thing went. Okay, so here's an email I sent this morning. You all should have gotten it except for those that are registered for the event. So Paul, maybe you can help us improve this kind of email. I'll zoom in here so you all get a sense. So the subject line is, don't let this happen to your Infusionsoft account. So we're playing off of a curiosity / fear in this situation, right? So, hi so-and-so, this problem is one of the most common and destructive problems I see with Infusionsoft users. Ooh, shoot, could that be me? It's also a major problem in Entreport, Marketo, and other marketing platforms. Wow, this is a widespread problem. It's the problem that holds people back the most. Wow, if I'm focused on growth and this is holding me back, I want to know what it is, right? So I'm really kind of building the curiosity here. I can almost guarantee that you've been a victim of this problem. How can I guarantee that? Because I've logged into hundreds of accounts and I see it every time. The problem is, if we build it, the sales will come syndrome, right? We spend a ton of time building campaigns, working on them, tweaking them, but most of this work is completely wasted. So I want people at this point going like, geez, I do spend a lot of time building campaigns, and why is it wasted? What the heck is wrong? And what's the problem here? And then we answer the question, right? Why? Because those campaigns never get launched. And I want them, realizing, yeah, I've got campaigns in my account that I've never launched. I spent time building on whatever. So building campaigns does not produce results. Launching campaigns is what actually makes it happen. That's what we're going to be doing at our WS Sales Workshop. Click to find out more. We're doing this event in 3 different cities. Deadline is fast approaching. Keeping these events small and intimate so we can give you personal help, the help that you need to get your campaigns launched. If you haven't registered yet, do it today, blah, blah, blah. So we're going into more of the details there.
I read your email 3 times.
You read that 3 times?
3 times.
Good for you.
And I was trying to figure out, honestly, we're buddies, I have to tell you. I was trying to figure out what is it that you're offering. So, and then I figured it out, but I would say if the...
So was it not clear? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's kind of like running into each other. If there was some kind of a bullet somewhere, it would have made it easier for me to scan it. I could not scan it.
Okay.
I mean, because I read your emails and I really wanted to see it. So I kept looking. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So I was putting a lot of effort into it to be able to read it.
Okay.
So if you had the problem in one sentence, different font or not bold or something that jumps at me.
Yeah.
And then the solution also like a bullet that jumps at me.
So you got caught with the curiosity, but then you were scanning for, I don't want to read all this stuff. I don't know what's the point, and you couldn't find it. Okay.
Yeah. I kind of know you. I said, okay, let me see. What is it that today's message is? There's something important. What is it? And I kept really scanning. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah. No. I want you to be able to get to the point. So I should have done some bolding or highlighting here.
The message that's important, not bolded, kind of like reverse it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I kept looking for it where I assumed I'm going to see a bullet or like 1, 2, 3, something that I say, oh, these are the 3 important elements.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good point. Good point. Where did it go?
I'm sorry, Paul, you were supposed to respond, so it's your turn.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, though. I mean, I don't want people not being able to find stuff. So, there we go. So Tracy commented on this. Just curious, isn't that a lengthy email? Do you think you will keep someone's attention through the whole email? So that's a really good question. What I've found is that when the copy is good, the length doesn't matter. And I actually wrote a really, really long email a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, on purpose to test that whole thing. And at the very end, there was no link or anything. The call to action was reply to this email if you got to the bottom. And I got tons of replies because it was a good email. And I was just basically proving my point. This was at Ryan Dice's Email World event, not last year, I think the year before. And I was sitting in an email marketing session where the people that were talking were just blowing smoke. It was driving me nuts. It was all a bunch of stuff that really wasn't true. They were talking. They made that claim. Long emails, long copy emails are dead. You should never write them. Only short copy, whatever. I'm like, this is a bunch of baloney. So I just started writing this email. Hey, I'm sitting in the session. These guys are blowing smoke. It's terrible content. And so I'm gonna, list out, 7 myths of email marketing or something like that. And I started basically calling out all the things that they were saying. And then it ended up being really long. And at the very end, I was like, by the way, to prove the point that long emails still work, let me know if you got to the bottom, just reply. Tons of replies. Right?
Let's scroll down to the PS and,
Okay.
and see what you did with that.
I can't remember it. I wrote this morning. I still
Yeah.
can't remember if I actually wrote a PS. I did.
PS is a great place for the guarantee, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
that's a proven tactic.
Yeah, really what I should have done here, and this is laziness on my part, this should be right here under my signature and the PS should be below. To really separate it. So, because people will scroll down just to see the PS and see like, what's the point, like Nadal was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't separate that clearly, and it's laziness because, as you know, this is one snippet in Infusionsoft. This is another one. I would have to go get a third one, drag it down, copy this stuff, put it down there. And you know what? It's not a big deal, but
But you know what I would have done also? You know what I asked you? I said, okay, can I come in and this session that we did today, have somebody sit down and implement it, and then your response was, we're gonna do these 3 things.
Yeah.
That would have been nice if it wasn't the email. That we're gonna do the 3 things, and those things we're gonna go on and have a copywriter and this and that. I mean, it would have been, 1 as a bullet point, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Maybe because I'm an engineer, I look at structured things.
Yeah.
And I like things that
Yeah. So the goal, of course, is get people to click, and then all the information is on the sales page. But you're looking for, just give me the meat and potatoes now. I'll go read the whole thing later if it's interesting. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And why you're cutting off the column, you made it narrow. I mean, I see that your email is narrow.
Oh,
Is that
why?
a particular reason?
Yeah.
Easier to read.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. One is it works better on mobile. And second one is, and Infusionsoft doesn't have mobile responsive email templates. So, I'm trying to just make it work. And then the other,
Why do you make yours? When you make these emails? Is it 600?
I have to go back and look. No, I think it's like 320 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But and then the other thing is it's easier to read, right? Your eyes, if you have to scroll across the whole screen or across the whole page, it's more tiring on your eyes. And like you're trying to scan the email. Scanning emails is much more quick when it's narrower column. There's a reason why I'm not as familiar with the Quran. I don't know how it's written there, but there's a reason why the Bible is in columns. You got a bunch of small text, lots and lots of words.
The Quran is the chunks, it's like one sentence,
Little
every
chunks. Yeah.
every verse, like one, except there's one verse that's the entire page, and it's an interesting one. It's about the contract.
Yeah.
It's about a contract and loan. If you borrow some money, what are the conditions and how you do the loan?
So yeah, that's why. Make it easier to read and make it work on mobile.
I thought mine was narrow, was 600. That's what I defaulted to, but you have 320.
Daryl was claiming he was there when I wrote it. I wrote it this morning. So, I know which one you're talking about. You're talking about the email world one. Yeah, I think you were there. So. Here, look, let's see. We'll log in and see exactly how wide this is here. I thought I did it at 320, but it's been a long time since I created that. So
I've gone to more and more simple text emails than ones with headers and everything. I do more and more of these all the time now.
Yeah.
And
When I really want to get people's attention, I actually don't use the email builder. I do just truly plain text. Like you go right here and you hit plain text.
Yeah.
And then there's no HTML, no formatting, and nothing.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks more like it's coming from your email, from Outlook.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, 450. Not as narrow as I thought.
Okay, 450.
I think I originally created it at 320, and then I widened it out a little bit. So your homework this week is to go through that worksheet, which I'll email out to everybody today. Fill in the blanks. Choose your strategy. Which of those 4 strategies you're going to use, and then write your follow-up sequences based on that, and make sure that you're using the right appeals, the right fears, and you're leveraging them the right way. And you're not just making random emails. That's what I see most people do. It's like, okay, I got to write 7 emails. Why 7? I don't know, but they just do. I got to write 7 emails, and what are the topics? And they just list them out, and then they just write emails about those topics. You know, they're not strung together in a sequence that makes sense. They're not using a strategy that's, you know, building the story and getting the, you know, we have to move people from the point of, you know, interested prospect to the point of actually pulling out their wallet.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to use a strategy to do that. So giving you a couple different frameworks here to help you do that. And, you know, so that's the homework. So what I want you to do is do that and then hop into the Facebook group and post a quick summary of, you know, what your fears, your pains, your desires are, and then the strategy that you chose, and maybe even some bullet points from that, and just share that with the group. And we'll discuss in the Facebook group further throughout this week. Okay, so I think that's it for today. I'll stay online here for more questions if you guys have any other questions. Of course, those of you guys that are here, we got a few more minutes before I got to run. So thanks everybody for coming.
Cool stuff. You signed up?
No. Leave it on for a minute in case people have questions.
Well, I have to say that coming here every time, it's the best time I spent from a technical standpoint with you guys, the group, and I enjoy it very much because the feedback that I get from everybody here is a fresh look that I don't get. It's like having our own consultants that we don't have to pay for. Infusionsoft consultants are ultra expensive. So this is worth every minute of my time. And we can't thank you enough for hosting us.
Our pleasure.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thanks again, Tom. I
Our pleasure.
forgot to.
You're very
recognize you
generous
guys.
and very kind to us.
You bet. It's our pleasure. Everybody going to Icon? You going to Icon?